Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I am back from Las Vegas. I was there for a month doing setup for shows. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of a recap on the things that I was working on, the things that I loved at show, what I saw, just all of it. I figured this is the second solo of today. You just listened to the first announcement, which is the announcement of Ebsen Design Academy online classes that are for free, that are through YouTube. I cannot wait to hear what you guys think. Right now, what is uploaded is the Halloween, so it's timely. Fall and Halloween is the first lesson. There are 3 classes on it for you to take a look at. We're going to be uploading more as we go, but there's your first introduction. And today is all about solo for show recap. So let me start with the beginning. You guys all know I was in Vegas for the last time for opening Stephen Young's showroom. I was there for 2.5 months, I think. I did come home to do the LA showroom for Stephen Young, which kind of worked out well because I was able to be there for the holidays and be with my family. But this one, I was only there for a month. And the difference, I will tell you, the difference was huge this year. Or this season was it was not the only showroom on the floor. So Stephen Young, when I did the first setup, we were the only ones on the floor. We had everything covered in plastic. So there was the big reveal. And for the most part, there was only 3 of us on the job site. And so there wasn't a lot of interaction. So I ended up like super depressed and from being away from the family. And then that I realized is a big factor of not that I talk to people and sit and have long conversations, but there's something about the community of walking into a showroom space or a floor that you know people from, and it's like, hi, how are you? You give people hugs. That's how you start your day. And then you go about your way. Maybe you take a walk down the hall and you have a chance to, take a breather or go talk to somebody and work out. Maybe you're having an issue. I had that this time. So this time I was there for a month. Dave has been going back and forth to Vegas, working on Matt's showroom for Fine Lines. He and Tanya is the lead for Fine Lines. She did an amazing job. Her vision for what that showroom would look like as a collective was flawless. I mean, it was a massive amount of work, and I got to give it to her because it is a massive amount of work. And that type of showroom, it's a lot more installation based, where Stephen, it's heavy level display, but there aren't those installation moments that there are in, say, Fine Lines, or when you go in retailers. Now, Anthropologie has a big installation presence. Urban Outfitters has a big installation presence. So there's that difference. Tanya, her vision was amazing. I'm still blown away. And to watch Dave and Tanya work together, they both bounce ideas off each other. It was pretty amazing to look at from the outside, and I'm super proud of both of them. I'm really proud of my husband. Tanya, there were situations where, shelving didn't come in or something, and they had to figure something else out. So Tanya would go to Dave and say, okay, this is what I got. You tell me what works. Dave would throw out a couple ideas, and he'd literally go off the floor into his workshop, build it, and bring it out. I mean, even Eric from Noble Mix, whose space was 2 spaces down from that instance I was talking about, said, man, Dave is really the unsung hero, because you talk about something and he walks away and then he creates it and it's out on the floor hours later. And it really is. I mean, I know this because he works with me and he's amazing, but to watch his relationship with Tanya and how they work things together out as a team was amazing. So, Matt's showroom is beautiful. It is the color, the grounding color, that because it's essentially 2 separate showrooms. They took out the glass doors. They had the retractable gates. So when you're standing in the hall, you could clearly see there's a showroom on the right and a showroom on the left. The brilliant part was painting the corridor one single color that grounded it. And that by doing so, that grounding created one space where you knew when you got off the elevator, okay, this is Fine Lines. It was pretty amazing. I did a couple days for Stephen. And it was very minimal. I did Jellycat, Elegant Baby, Milk Barn, and that was it. Very minimal. I did a couple days for Artful Trading downstairs on the first floor. And my big pride and joy was sales producers. I will tell you right now, not to skip over. So Fine Lines, I did 9 days, and I did 3 sections: Mary Mary, Furbish, and Cottage Door Press. And I loved it because I wasn't the main person. It wasn't my show. I was a bit player. I came in, did my thing, and then left. It was a great way to do it. And I had a chance to work with Tanya and work with other people and kind of see how their organization works. My challenge was making sure that I kept the displays different. Stephen Young has a very distinct look. Matt has a very distinct look, and I'm creating a very distinct look for sales producers. And by being in that space, I needed to be very cognizant of keeping everyone's display separate and making sure that I kept to the showroom that I was working in's aesthetics. And for Fine Lines, that was my first time working with Matt. It was really important that I made a difference, and I did a good job. So I had a lot of stuff in my head going on of self-doubt and whatnot. But as soon as I got over this one hump, for those of you who watch social media and following up MC Design Collaboration, I got hung up on the Mary Mary display. Part of it was I was trying to pack in too many patterns. So, and trying to make sure that I'm, the same thing, not replicating what I do for other people, and keeping it very Fine Lines and ensuring that it looks like Fine Lines. So that was my debacle with that, but it turned out great. We did have to add another table. It was too many patterns for that space. By pulling the one table out, I was able to pull out the mushrooms and do a whole other display with all the pieces that, to be honest, color-wise didn't work. And by doing so, it was boom, that was it. And it was praise God. But guys, our sales producers, I'm not gonna lie, it's such a source of pride. There was a lot of changes. There was multiple new lines. There was big shifts, big lines moving. Mixture went from two 8-foot walls to a run of the wall, and floating display went into 2 sections with 8-foot walls plus an end cap and floating display. Punch, Lady Jane, Molly, and Rex moved completely to a different area. Jiggy Puzzles was new, Cape Diablo was new, Town Pride was new, and I got to reinvent Saruka, which was so much fun. I will tell you right now, for everyone who works with merchandisers, I can tell you from my personal experience, and it is usually most people's response, is let your merchandiser do what they do best. Let them go get creative. Don't try and micromanage the situation. There was one vendor that really wanted to micromanage the situation, and all the way down to put this here, this goes with this. Know that your merchandiser knows that you have new receipts are the most important, your top sellers that are most important. All these things need to be visible. They have nothing but your space and that showroom's best interest. That's literally what we live for, is to make your product look amazing. So when you try and put big borders, big boundaries, and micromanage it, it takes the creativity out. It takes the joy of creating something and letting your imagination come up with this amazing thing. And case in point, Saruka, I love working with this company. Saruka was, her saying was, just do your magic. And thank you, God, that when you have somebody that trusts you like that and says, do your magic, it gives you the space to create something without having any boundaries. Again, with the knowledge of new receipts are front and forwarded, bestsellers are front and forward. If you have collections that need to stay together, we know this. You've told us this. We have already gone over the overview, but please trust your merchandiser and us to do our best job. Because when you box someone in like that, it really, and this goes for your employees too. Like, if you, the only way to test out somebody doing merchandising with you is to give them a chance and say, here's this section, let's see what you do. And it's like, one of two things is going to happen. It's going to be amazing or it's going to not. And if it's not, then make it a teaching moment and take the person into your wing and show them your style and how you want it. And let them know this didn't work because of this or whatever. But anytime you try and put people in boxes and you really try and micromanage the situation or the display or what, like, you might as well send your own person from the brand out to do it and do it on a planogram, which is fine. I mean, it really is. But for those of us who do not work with planograms and who are creative, and the more we can be creative and think outside the box, the better your product looks. Saruka turned out amazing. My whole goal was not only for it to look amazing, but to warm it up, to make it look special, to really upgrade it. It was on white walls, white shelves, and these horrible little IKEA tables. And I took all that away. We covered it in plywood that gave it that natural look. Inexpensive, such a great look, and so inexpensive. And it really warmed it up. Put the white shelves back up. We added an extra shelf for each side of the wall because they had giant gaps in between the shelves and the bags are only this big. So it increased the ability to put out more product. And then I had Dave make wood risers in 2 different heights that were in the center of the space, because she went from having 2 8-foot walls and her tables within her section to having 2 8-foot walls and then another end cap over here. So my job was to make sure these 2 spaces worked together. So it felt like one space and it wasn't, you're standing in one section saying, is that part of your stuff too? And same thing for your stores. Like, you will have some display going on and part of the display didn't fit, so you had to do it somewhere else. And there's a disconnect unless you're able to connect them via the floor set. So connected the 2 of them with these risers and did the signage vinyls on the wood risers, did her risers for her products. Again, no plastic risers. I did wood cutoffs that we painted black that kind of picked up the black on the animal print of a lot of her bags. It came out so good, guys. Like, I am so excited. Cape Diablo was a lot of the same thing. They gave creative control, like, here you go to town. I've already done their Los Angeles showroom space for Cooper Building, but that was like so minuscule compared to the space that they had. Again, they were on end cap. I did lighting above them, so like focuses and showcases what's below. Gold brackets to go back to their fixturing. Their fixturing's pine base, white wood, white rollers that you put the bracelets on, and then gold detailing. So we took those 3 elements and that's what I created their display for. Again, we did wood, big pine wood risers. We did the vinyls on there. So they're risers. So there was continuity throughout the showroom. Each space needs to look different, but there needs to be some continuity. The pine is really what kind of grounded all these spaces together. Town Pride was another new introduction that, I'll be honest, because they had a lot of space and they did not have a ton of samples. Like, I had planned on building out big apparel fixtures into their wall so you could page through it. And at the end of the day, when I found out there was only maybe 45 samples of apparel, it really, I had to think differently on it. And at the last minute was like, let's reimagine the pegboard we had taken down from another store, and then let me create these almost like, I guess, like, it would be, it's very kind of Urban Outfitters, where they were on the wall and I showcased a blanket undone, one of their shirts on a peg, a hat on a peg, a couple of items. So you got kind of a snapshot of the line, and it was also kind of lifestyle. So did that, moved in tables, same thing. They had 2 different spaces that were across the way. I needed to create spaces that you felt like they were one. So their fixturing kind of came out of their space and linked the other space together. I will say this right now, we are creating some amazing fixtures. Dave, you know, the beautiful thing about having my husband be as creative as he is and working with people like Tanya and whatnot, Tanya is very precise. I'm very like, oh, put the shelf here and no measurements, just like, just here, it's fine, you know. But I drew out a couple fixtures for apparel. I did one for Furbish where we were able to have some surface and then hanging for their table linens. For sales producers, we did 2 different apparel racks for Town Pride. One was a standing fixture that was open backed. It was almost felt like you were shopping a closet. The other was a single rail, but it wasn't like, you know, just the pole and sides. It was a little bit more decorative. We are going to start doing those, just so you know. We are going to start creating display props for retailers to either purchase the whole display and we ship it to you, or the how-to instructions, the cut list, the material list, and a PDF on all of it, as well as instructions on how to put it together. Those will be coming soon. We talked about it. We know there's a need for it. A lot of you have asked for it. So that's coming down. We'll talk more about that later, but I wanted to throw that in while I'm talking about this. So that was the show. I mean, it was incredible to be able to do these showrooms. It was incredible to do it in a month. Again, I'm so grateful for being on floors where I had friends. Fabian, who you guys have heard here on the podcast, Fabian is now a Kina. It was so great to be able to have him on the floor and to be able to go by and give him a hug every morning. I mean, that sense of community means everything when you are on a long job and you are away from your friends and family. That is seriously, I figured it out. That was the disconnect of my last trip. Also, having the girls from Roadrunners down the hall. There was a day where you saw it on my post for Instagram, was I was literally brought to tears by a fixture. You know, the thing is, when you do these fixtures and you set things up, I can come up with them in my head. Dave can create them. So sometimes they don't work out. And in this case, it was a sock display. And we don't use slat wall, so it was utilizing something other than slat wall. So we figured pulled wire, and then the socks, their packaging comes with a little hook. We'll just put those on there. And Dave got it all up. He went downstairs. He was leaving the next day. I started loading socks into it and it snapped. And it was like, that's one of those oh shit moments where like you have to figure something out because your builder's leaving the next day. It also can't just get repaired because really, honestly, that's going to happen again. Like either the reps are going to load it up with too many socks, someone's going to pull on it. Either way, it fell and it needed to go. And I needed to figure out a solution within hours of Dave leaving. So went downstairs, talked to Dave, walked a couple floors to see if there's anything that we could salvage. Excuse me, we figured it out. But that day, and having a community of people on your floor that is there for you, the girls at Roadrunners, I will say this, to be in the hall, literally sitting, crying, in more in frustration, and you're tired, more in frustration, and have her come over and talk to you. And like, we've all been through it. We've all gone through it. We all understand the pressure we're under. We all understand the frustration when something doesn't work out. Like, all of us understand that. So to have that again, that was one of those things where I am beyond grateful for this last setup. I mean, I honestly, like, as tired as I was and as much as I missed home, this was such a phenomenal setup. Like, I came home so full, like all of it, my creativity, all of it. I just feel so full and so grateful. As many of you know, I transitioned from showroom setup into being a buyer with several clients. I have a couple new clients, Riverside Rustic. I walked the show with them and kind of gave them my overview. She's one of the clients that I Zoom consult with, where I walked her floor with her. I can see exactly what the issues are from a Zoom call, especially if it's floor planning. Worked with her on that, had a chance to meet them in person, walk them a couple hours. My Scottsdale job, so exciting. We got their fixtures ordered. Their store is going to be redone mid-September. Super excited about that. It's a family-owned business. One store was remodeled and literally looks like Disneyland. The other store did not get that special treatment. So it will not be Disneyland, but it will be definitely the standard of that store is going to be raised. We're going to get a ton more product in it, but all new fixtures. So exciting. Ordered books, took them out of their comfort zone as far as what they're used to ordering, so we could create bigger stories. It's a typical tourist store, so everything with Scottsdale on it, the magnets, the bottle opener, you name it, it's there. But I really wanted to make sure we created bigger stories and big presentations, so it wasn't just like, here's all our keychains, here's all of our coasters, whatever it is, to create same thing I do with the people and create these stories. So both the locals and the tourists are engaged and they want to come in and they want to see it. So we got that off to a running start. I'm super excited about that. And it was my last show with Burt's Pharmacy. I know I've said that a million times because many of you said this. You said that last time. It really is the natural progression of how I work with stores. I was on this project longer than any. Erin, as I've said before, is a seasoned merchandiser. She is a seasoned buyer. I've trained her, worked with her for years. Like, it was time to cut her loose. So this was literally my last gift show with Erin. And honestly, like, I did nothing. I just stand back and let her do her thing. But it's such a sense of pride to watch her work with the buyers, create her own statements. And today, as we talk, today's Magic. She's at Magic with her assistant. So the natural evolution of a team is happening now. She has her assistant there. Kayla's now learning from Erin. It's very much one of those things I'm incredibly proud about. And I'm super excited for them and their new change and their new everything. I want to do a show recap based on the buying things. I love, for one, guys, this whole non-traditional colors for holiday. There's the hunter green, but I'm loving like that burnt, like brick red. I'm loving that burnt orange, that funky, like it's almost like a saffron yellow color. And to see it in multiple places, it's like, I love the bright holiday thing, but it was so nice to see something fresh and new like that. Like, the bright thing is great. I'm kind of, I don't know, I'm a little sick of it. The neutral thing I still love, but this kind of rode the line of neutral and brights. And I absolutely adore the big folding paper trees. Be Home and Kiss That Frog did big, I think they were like 7 foot tall in the hunter green and burgundy. Zodax did a different version, same thing in those really yummy organic kind of burnt colors. Creative Co-op did a great job with it, and one more did too. I can't remember now, but the desert theme also, same thing in those earthy colors, still going strong. Mushrooms, guys, I'm sorry, but it hasn't hit the unicorn status yet, but the mushrooms are, when they get to the lower end lines, that it's like it's hit its peak. I still love them, and I love that they come in 2 different ways. There's like the kind of cartoony with the red and the black dots, and then there's that more organic, neutral, kind of beautiful. I will say that TV, I'm so bad with names right now, but the home line that's downstairs on the first floor, they had these canvas mushroom sculptures that had, last year they were all canvas. This year they added where someone watercolored the top of them. So there was like a pinky color and a sagey green. Those are kind of more the pastel neutral. Cody Foster did everything from the cartoony red and black to the neutrals, Creative Co-op's the other one that did the paper ornaments, and those beautiful colors. If I just said that, resaid that, I'm realizing, my God. But that mushroom thing is like huge. So for Raw Paradise, I'm responsible for curating their holiday. And this store is different in the sense of it's not a traditional store. It's crystals and metaphysical, and we have a witchy section, and we have a astrological section, and we have a personal care section, but it's mostly like manifestation baths, and it's very, very niche. So it was really important to me that they have a very, very niche holiday. Last holiday, it's going to be hard to beat last holiday. Last holiday, I brought Tanya in from Fine Lines. She created huge, massive flower clouds that are in neutrals with like gold elements and silver elements to get that holiday feeling. And then I did drippy suns and moon hangings, and it was magical. And we had a taste of the mushrooms. Then this time I have to take those because they're still up, because they don't read like holiday. But now at this point, it's like, okay, they've been up for almost a year. It's time to change them. This year for holiday for Raw Paradise, we are doing disco ball planters, as well as disco ball other sculptural mushrooms, for instance, mixed with neutral elements in the mushrooms. And I need to find another thing to mix it in with where we get the drippiness. So I've got planters, the disco ball planters from Egg out of Fine Lines, which will do green plants, or I'll do some kind of floral that feels like holiday, and those will be all in the windows. The mushroom statement is going to be at the opening statement along with their ornaments. It's really all about the big ornaments. I did do wood mushrooms and mirrored mushrooms, and I love the mix of that neutral and that glittery mirrored side of it. Now I just need to find something that is hanging along with it, whether it be a light element or something that catches the light. But I have one thing left to do, but that I really feel like the mushroom thing was really strong. There was so much fun regional merchandise. I think probably 30 of you reached out to me on my MC Design Collaboration when I showed that one regional bag that had that really cute illustration of the states, and they were like $5.95, like so cute canvas bags. They weren't the cheesy regional stuff that you see a lot. They were fantastic, and they also did little zips. Stuff like that. Like I even did a California thing for the pharmacies, even though, you live there and you're going to the pharmacy. We did a very small pocket and it did very well. So if you are thinking about doing regional, I'd say test it out with a couple small things. Even the people who live there, locals, love to give gifts of their local area to their friends or to whatever, or when people come in from out of town. Pantry, still huge. I do love that pantry's now kind of including housekeeping. It's been going on. The Times, as you know, put out their housekeeping collection. There's several personal care lines that have added housekeeping. There's a reason. It's because it's doing well. My favorite out of all of it is out of Kina. It's called Koala Eco. This is probably one of the most beautiful lines that also smells so incredible. Like, so beautiful. I have a picture of it. I think if you can see it. I mean, the illustration, amazing. And their booth or their space in Kina, they did this gorgeous wallpaper with this floral painting, which is mimicked their packaging, but the packaging and the product and the sense of the product are so good. And I really love the housekeeping for gifts like hostess gifts and pairing them up. Again, it's all about cross merchandising and pairing up gifts for the holiday that you can tie something on and get that extra bit of money for. Is like, to do the dish soaps and tie on one of the beautiful wood bristle brushes from Be Home or Kiss That Frog, to do any of the things like that where you're tying something on. But with housekeeping now as big as it's getting, I highly suggest even just doing a sampling of it. But again, tie it back to dish soap holders, or if you want to show other dispensers in case someone doesn't want to leave the Koala Eco or the product with the branding on their sink, bring in other bottles, bring in the cleaning tools. Those Swedish sponges would be great there, but just really try it out, because I really, honestly, this is where it's going now. I mean, now that pantry's like taken off where it is, that this is the only other natural way it's going to end up going. I'm checking my notes to make sure I'm getting one thing I will say this right now. It was great to walk Temps and see new vendors who have not shown in Vegas. One in particular, Ben's Garden, that's out of New York. I used to buy this line. Okay, Ben started this line, I think he said, when he was 8 years old. And when Michael Campbell and I were shopping New York now, back in the day, this is 30 years ago, I think Ben was like 15 then. And it was so great. He was literally the OG person to start that whole decoupage, little plates and whatnot that John Darien does so well. But Ben's Garden is really the OG of this. And it was so great to see this New York line out in Las Vegas. Like, it just keeps getting better and better. Yes, you have to kind of cherry pick it a little bit, but I mean, it was just so great in the sense of seeing new things. It was just so great to see new lines there. Again, this is coming out after Magic. Magic will be over by the time this comes out next week. But honestly, like the Las Vegas apparel show that they have at the World Market Center, I've said it before, it's phenomenal. It's the only show that brings in lunch for all the buyers. I'm not talking like this booth or that booth. Like, the entire show lays out this beautiful salad, and it's not crappy feed a crowd food. It's beautiful salads. Then they have sandwiches, and at later in the afternoon they have cocktails and sweets. If you haven't done this apparel show and you are in Las Vegas in January, I highly suggest tacking on an extra day, because it starts before Magic and there's a 1-day crossover. So you could do that show one day and then do Magic the day Magic starts. But they really do a standout job with this show. So I think that's it for me. That's the update. I'm really excited for the new projects coming up the board. I'm super excited to hear what you guys think about MC Design Academy. And do not forget, I'm still doing and will continue to do the hashtag Show Me Your Stores. Send me a picture of your store. Let me know what the challenge is, whether it is your floor planning, or you're having trouble building up your architecture, or you just can't put your thumb on it. I don't know what it is. Please tell me what it is. Send it to me, either email at mcdesigncollaboration@gmail.com, or DM me either at the Retail Whore Podcast, or you can DM me over at MC Design Collaboration. But just remember, include your store's name, what the problem is, and I will do an edit on it. I'm not there to bash your store. I'm seriously there just to give you free information. So what better time than to get free information going into fourth quarter than to send your pictures in. So that's it, guys. Happy summer. I'm super excited to see you all over the fourth quarter, and onward and upward.